How's it going, everyone? So, we're going to be starting a new project on the 1994 Chevy pickup that's lifted. And since we're going to be using updated technology as far as the engine and transmission goes, we want to talk to you guys about the L33. So, yes, it's an L33. It's an LS motor. They're made from 2005 to 2006. Or 2007, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is a 5.3 liter engine, 325 cubic inches. Okay. And what's significant about this L33 is that they have some few similarities as far as the LS build goes. One thing that have similar as far as to what they have similar is to the LS2, which is in the Corvettes, and also the GTOs, the C6 Corvettes, the GTOs, the Trailblazer SS as well. The things they have, and also the LS6. The LS6 were on the C5 Z06 Corvettes. It was also on the Gen 1 Cadillac CTSV. The similarities they had on these engines was, one, they're aluminum. One thing I have in common is they're aluminum. So, in other words, when there's aluminum, it's going to be lighter. The next thing is cylinder heads. So, they both have aluminum block and aluminum heads, but the cylinder heads are the same cast type, which is 243 or 799 heads. They came with a 2-inch intake valve, a 1.55 inch exhaust valve, has a max lift of 660 thousandths inch before having piston and valve clearance issues. So, what is an L33? Let me ask. So, how was this 5.3 made, right? So, the one thing we want to discuss before we get to that is this L33 is very significant. Why we decided to choose on this level for boost is, one, it comes with stronger pistons and rods. 2, better flowing heads. 3, it's a lighter engine. 4, it's going to rep at a higher RPM, just like the 4.8 does, just slightly slower, not much difference. That'll be higher revving than the 6-liter or the 6.2 LS3s or L99s. But since we're going to be at a lower stroke, using at a higher RPM, it's going to be able to put in more boost. But because this one has a 9.9 to 1 compression ratio as well too, so instead of using 11 to 1 or 10.9 to 1 like the LS2 does, or like a 10.5 to 1 like the LS3 does, we're going to use one as a 9.9 to 1 to be able to put in more boost. And since we're not going to be using a Pro Charger, we're decided to switch over to our customer's past vehicle, which was on his Denali. We're going to be using a Whipple Supercharger to be able to force in more air into a heavier truck that's already lifted, that's going to have more wind resistance. So, let's move forward. How is this L33 block made, right? So, let's make our block. Right? Let's draw our big V8. Let's get our cylinders as always. There's our crankshaft. Top deck, there's our cylinder heads. Right? So, on research and looking at, and also on the measurements, we're looking at this L33 has a stroke of 3.6 inches, 3.662 inches. on the stroke. The bore is at, as far as the width goes, is 3.78 inches. So let's bring your leftover piston here. So what happens at the crankshaft, at flat dead center, how much it brings out is it brings out to 3.662 inches in the stroke with a 3.7 inch width bore. Look at the width on the side, be at 3.78 inches as far as diameter goes. So, since we're going to be it's going to have a shorter stroke instead of using a 4-inch stroke from like an LQ9 or LQ4 or LS2 or even an LS3 using a larger stroke. Instead of going to a longer stroke, we're using a shorter stroke at 3.662 inches to be able to go back down and straight back up again to have a higher revolution. A shorter stroke gives a higher revolution, high RPM, revolutions per minute. So, what happens here? There's going to be difference here. It's better than us deciding to do the LM7. One, it's aluminum, like we said, and has aluminum heads. So, looking at the weights, we're going to be saving about 100 pounds lighter than if we're going to be using an LM7, which is kind of similar, but has same cathedral style port heads, but doesn't flow as much. Also, it won't have stronger pistons, flat top pistons, and stronger I-beam rods, which the L33 already comes with. In theory, there's been a lot of research going around that the L33 can handle up to around 700 wheel horsepower as far as abuse goes onto the engine. But that's onto the stock piston rings. But in this kind of case, we're actually going to be doing a full rebuild kit as far as new bearings go, new piston rings, the block studded, ported heads, camshaft, which we'll get to that in our next walkthroughs. So we're going to be using L33. It comes with 310 horsepower and 335 pound-feet of torque. It comes with the cam specs are 193 intake, 193 exhaust, 480 thousandths inch in the intake, 480 thousandths on the exhaust, with a 116 LSA, lobe separation angle. So, what we're going to do is we're going to try to see how much power, not just about how much power we can use onto this L33 with boost with a Whipple supercharger, but we also want to show you guys in this part 2 as well. Not part 2, but on this part, we're trying to figure out what the similarities were. Cylinder heads, crankshaft, and usually throttle body, they have the same specs, exact specs as the LS6. That's why they're calling this, they always call these 5.3s, especially the L33s, the small bore LS6. Because all you would have to do is just bore out the cylinder bores on this block, and you will have yourself an LS6 automatically. So that's what makes this L33 so significant, because we have thicker wall castings on the bore, between bores, cylinder bores on the engine, on the block. We're able to have the opportunity to put in more boost if you want to, and in a future case, if our customer wants to go turbocharge in the end, run over 20 pounds of boost, he can do it with these thick wall castings after we do ARP head studs installed and tapped in. So that's going to be part 1, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram page at king_Castro_forever, and check out our Facebook page, Castro Motorsports SS. And please subscribe, guys, because we're giving you guys a walkthrough of everything on this build we're going to do for this 94's 1500 box Silverado or OBS. So thanks, guys. Thanks for viewing. See you in the next one.